There are things the rich say in public and things they only share in private. The difference between the two is everything. What they post online is filtered. What they say at conferences is rehearsed. But behind closed doors in quiet conversations and private retreats, they talk differently. They share secrets that don't go viral. They share strategies that don't sound motivational, but work. Because the truth is, the rich didn't just work harder. They worked differently. And they were taught things you were never supposed to hear. Silent frameworks, invisible leverage, psychological tricks, legacy moves. Things that don't look like advice until you realize they shaped the rules you live under. Most people never hear them, and that's by design. These secrets aren't illegal, just inconvenient to the system that depends on your obedience. If everyone knew, the game wouldn't work. But you're here, you're curious, and once you see these moves, you won't be able to unsee them. So in this video, we're pulling back the curtain. 15 secrets the rich swore you'd never discover. Not because they're magic, but because they're powerful and quiet. Let's begin the audit. Let's break what was never meant to be shared. Secret 1. The rich don't trade time for money. They trade position for multiplication. Most people believe money comes from effort, but the wealthy know effort is a bottleneck. Instead of working more, they position themselves where work flows to them. A rich person doesn't ask, "How do I earn more per hour?" They ask, "How do I build something that works even when I don't?" They create leverage. Products that scale, businesses that run without them, capital that earns passively. While others chase promotions, they build position. The rich don't escape the system by running faster. They escape by building exits. The most dangerous part? This secret is invisible. It doesn't look like working hard. It looks like being calm while others panic. And because you've been trained to equate effort with virtue, you often dismiss what actually creates wealth. That's the rigged part. The rich aren't working less because they're lazy. They're working upstream. They set the rules and build machines that obey them. Once that's done, they step back and let multiplication do what effort never could. Secret 2. They own the ladder. Everyone else climbs. You're taught to climb, degree by degree, promotion by promotion, connection by connection. But no one tells you the real game. Own the ladder. The rich don't just climb industries. They own platforms, pipelines, and systems that others depend on. They build marketplaces, hold real estate, run distribution, control licenses. Every time someone else earns, the owner earns too, silently. That's why they're not obsessed with competition. They don't need to be better. They need to be essential. This secret is hidden in plain sight. Uber doesn't drive. Airbnb doesn't host. Amazon doesn't make your products. But all of them own the infrastructure that everyone else needs. While you perfect your resume, they perfect dependence. And once people rely on your system, you no longer have to compete, you simply collect. That's not greed, that's engineering. Secret 3. They leverage hidden networks, not public applications. The average person gets access through websites, interviews, and waiting in line. The rich use introductions. They build what's called informational gravity, a pull that makes others want to bring them in. This happens through curated reputation, selective presence, and relationship stacking. They don't send resumes. They get invited to opportunities that aren't even posted. Because by the time a deal is public, it's already been passed over by private hands. You can't Google your way into these circles. That's why this secret stays hidden. It's not searchable, it's social. The wealthy spend more time nurturing introductions than applying for anything. And the irony? The more selective they are, the more access they get. Because exclusivity signals value. And in a world full of noise, signal wins. Secret 4. They treat attention like equity. To the rich, attention isn't just noise, it's currency. They don't post randomly. They don't chase virality. Every piece of visibility is intentional. A podcast appearance? That's a pipeline. A LinkedIn post? A reputation play. A brand mention? Social proof. The wealthy understand that attention compounds when shaped right, and that noise dilutes if left unmanaged. While most people beg to be seen, the rich engineer what's seen. They build positioning, not presence. They don't want more followers, they want targeted authority. The rich would rather be unknown to 99% of the world and indispensable to 1% who make decisions. Because one call from the right person changes everything. That's not luck, that's visibility design. You can't afford to be everywhere, but you can afford to be unforgettable in the right rooms. Secret 5. They play the tax game, not the salary game. You've been trained to focus on income. The wealthy focus on structure. They don't just ask how much they make, they ask how they make it. Because money earned through salary gets taxed at the highest rate. But capital gains, dividends, real estate depreciation, and business deductions, these are tools, not just terms. The rich earn the same dollars differently and keep more of them because the system rewards asset holders, not laborers. They hire accountants who act like architects. They build legal entities not to avoid taxes, but to reshape the tax impact. They defer, split, flow, and shield. While you give away 30-40% of every paycheck, they structure income so it's taxed last or never. The difference over time? Millions. And here's the kicker. The system allows it because the system was built by people who think like them. Secret 6. They design energy, not just schedule. Most people build to-do lists. The rich build energy maps. They don't just ask, what do I need to do? They ask, what state must I be in to do it well? That's why they batch decisions. That's why they protect mornings. That's why they avoid low-return meetings. They don't manage time. They manage momentum. Because when energy is right, progress becomes effortless. And when it's off, even simple tasks feel heavy. This is invisible. It looks like not doing much from the outside, but it's precision. While others burn out trying to do everything at once, the wealthy guard their peak states. They say no, not because they're arrogant, but because they optimize output. Their day isn't measured by hours. It's measured by impact per unit of energy. That's not lazy. That's elite execution. Secret 7. They don't work alone. They build cognitive teams. The rich don't rely solely on their own thinking. They build teams that think with them, not just work for them. Advisors, mentors, consultants, confidants. Not just employees, but brains. While most people are solving problems alone, the wealthy are outsourcing thought. They don't try to be experts in everything. They try to be surrounded by people who already are. They build distributed intelligence. This is invisible from the outside. You see one person at the front, but behind them is a web of insight. Legal minds, tax architects, deal scouts, personal strategists, they don't guess, they verify. And because they move with intel, they rarely move with fear. You try to know everything. They build systems where they only need to know who to call. Secret 8. They study incentives before they trust anything. The rich don't just listen to advice. They study why someone is giving it. They ask, what does this person gain if I act on their words? This single question reshapes how they consume content, respond to pitches, and form partnerships. While others react emotionally, the wealthy reverse engineer incentives. They know every system is tilted toward the benefit of the designer, and unless you understand the motive, you'll become the mechanism. This gives them unfair clarity. They see through manipulation, false urgency, and hype. They move slowly when incentives are misaligned, and aggressively when everything lines up. Most people get trapped in opportunities that sound good, but benefit someone else. The rich. Skip those. Because the first rule of high-level play isn't logic, it's leverage detection. Secret 9. They don't seek balance, they seek asymmetry. Balance sounds noble, but the rich don't chase symmetry, they chase tilt. They look for actions that cost little but return massively. One investment, one decision, one relationship that shifts everything. This is asymmetry. And the wealthy train their eyes to find it. They're not interested in playing fair. They're interested in finding unfair advantages that work in their favor without hurting others. This doesn't mean unethical, it means strategic. While you spend hours trying to optimize daily routines, they spend hours finding one deal that makes 10 years of routines irrelevant. That's the game. Find moves that break the math. You're solving small equations. They're rewriting the formula. Secret 10. They plant seeds that don't bloom for years. While most chase instant gratification, the rich operate on delayed inevitability. They plant relationships, assets, and systems that might not pay off today, but will hit hard in 5, 10, or even 20 years. It's not that they don't want results now, it's that they're engineering inevitability. A brand that compounds, a partnership that matures, a land deal that appreciates quietly. They don't just bet on timing, they bet on time itself. This is why they seem lucky. You see the harvest, you didn't see the planting. And because most people abandon ideas when they don't pay off fast, the rich end up collecting value from plays no one had the patience to stick with. Long-term thinking isn't slow, it's sharp. The wealthiest people are calm because their moves were made years ago. Secret 11. They don't scale tasks, they scale identity. The rich aren't just building businesses, they're building archetypes. Versions of themselves that people trust, follow, and fund. They don't ask, "What can I do today?" They ask, "Who do I need to become so that the results flow toward me?" They design identities that hold influence, authority, and value, and then let that identity scale everything. You're building projects. They're building characters. This is why personal brands are so powerful in elite circles. It's not vanity, it's architecture. They sculpt perception so that people assume trust before they even speak. It's not about going viral, it's about controlling the first impression at scale. You're trying to earn attention. They're becoming someone who never has to ask for it. Secret 12. They always leave optionality open. You make final decisions. The rich leave strategic back doors. They sign deals with exit clauses. They keep dry powder in case markets shift. They delay commitments until leverage peaks. It's not indecision, it's designed flexibility. They build lives with optionality, not rigidity. So when something breaks, they bend and survive. Most people say yes too soon and no too late. The rich say maybe, buy time, then move when timing favors them. This is how they seem always prepared. They're not smarter, just less locked in. In business, in negotiations, in investments, they always have another path. You call it indecisiveness. They call it freedom. Secret 13. They shape narratives, even when they're not in the room. The rich understand something crucial. Perception outlives presence. They don't just focus on being right, they focus on being remembered right. Every move they make is tied to a story. Every success is repackaged into a symbol. Every failure is reframed before it spreads. They don't fight misinformation, they preempt it with stronger frames. That's how they protect reputation without saying a word. They're not loud, but they're unforgettable. Because they seed ideas that others repeat. That's how influence works. You plant the narrative and let the world distribute it. Meanwhile, others defend themselves endlessly, explain too much, or try to fix optics after the damage. The wealthy don't chase clarity, they design interpretation. That's the game you never saw. Secret 14. They win by withholding, not broadcasting. The world teaches you to overshare, be authentic, be visible, but the rich use selective, silence as leverage. They don't post every move, they don't react to every jab. Their power comes from mystery, not visibility. Because in high-level circles, scarcity increases value. The less they reveal, the more others lean in. They don't fight in public. They fight in courtrooms, contracts, and quiet influence. While others are exhausting themselves explaining, defending, proving, the wealthy are collecting. They know that attention is not power. Curated attention is. And silence, when used with precision, makes others wonder, speculate, and overreact. The rich don't panic. They pull back. And in that space, they gain control. Secret 15. They rig the game by building the table. Most people are busy trying to get a seat. The rich? They build the table. They create the deals, host the dinners, design the terms. They don't wait for inclusion, Merkai. They create context. This is why they don't beg for opportunities. They make themselves the source of opportunity for others. Because power isn't being chosen, power is being unavoidable. This is the final layer. You're networking. They're architecting ecosystems. They're not fighting for approval. They're offering access. And once they build the table, they decide the game. Not because they're better, but because they stopped asking for a chance and built the system that hands them out. Now you've seen it. The secrets weren't locked away. They were hidden in silence, in positioning, in systems you were never taught to see. The rich didn't just get lucky or born ahead. They learned how the world actually works and moved accordingly. While you waited for fairness, they moved with strategy. While you asked for permission, they rewrote the rules. But now you know, these 15 truths weren't just information, they were a lens. And once you see through it, the game changes. You'll stop blaming effort. You'll stop chasing noise. You'll start stacking leverage, building your own table, reframing how you move, earn, and exist. Because now you don't just know what they do, you know why it works. And that awareness is irreversible. The game was never equal, but now it's not invisible either. This is your moment to stop playing small, stop playing fair, and start playing aware.